How do you end up owning, one of the most magnificent wine estates in South Africa? And for me, I'd worked so hard throughout my life, but both my husband and I were quite interested in boating, him more than me. And one weekend, whilst out in the Cape, we stumbled across a place called Benguela Cove. We were literally looking for somewhere to launch our boat, and we'd heard that it had the most magnificent lagoon around. That was how we stumbled across Benguela Cove. We fell in love with the place instantly, and very quickly we bought a home on the estate. Everything was really fantastic. As individuals, we didn't really know very much about wine. We, of course, enjoyed drinking wine. We loved all the wines within the Cape, but we weren't, wine experts by any stretch of the imagination. A couple of years into our ownership of Benguela Cove, the opportunity arose for us to actually take over the development from the developer. Having spent so long in recruitment, for me it was a interesting prospect, and to move more into the property side of things. I had people running my recruitment business, so to try my hand at something different was quite an exciting prospect. And that was it. Suddenly we owned Benguela Cove. I didn't really know too much about the estate, and I just dived in with both feet. I suppose it was for me sitting around a table. At that time there was the vineyard, 70 hectares of vineyard and a 200-hectare farm. But for me, I was sitting around a table. I invited quite a few of the local winemakers to come in, and they sat with me. We were talking in general about the farm and what to do. Their advice to me was that I should take all the grapes on the farm and I should sell them. They said to me that the farm was actually a massive, it was a massive undertaking, and that anyone who went into the wine business needed to be highly established, otherwise you were set to fail. Like I say, their recommendation was that I take the grapes and sell them. In my true spirit, I decided to do exactly the opposite. I looked at the commercial. There was a huge commercial area that required development, and I set about developing what is now our winery, our restaurant, and our tasting lounge. I bought the estate at the end of 2013, and in 2017 we opened our winery and crushed our first harvest there. Taking a step back on that and going back to the table of winemakers who advised me not to get involved, I realised very, very quickly that if I was going to make it in this business, which I was determined to do, was that I could only make it if I recruited one of the best people around. I knew through Benguela that Johan Fourie had been involved with Benguela through KWV, and that KWV had purchased wines, and that many of their award-winning wines were used with the fruit from Benguela Cove. I met with Johan. I guess the rest is history. I somehow persuaded him to join me, and together as a team, like I say, 2017 the winery opened and the first harvest was crushed. And it just goes to show that, you've got such a beautiful place of Benguela Cove, the uniqueness of the property, the way our vines are planted, combined with someone who's an innovator, who's continually looking at how they improve their product, how they're getting something absolutely perfect onto the table. To me, that sums up everything that is so fantastic and so beautiful about the location that we have. Our wines now have achieved universal accreditation. We're selling wines throughout the world. We've received many, many accolades. And I think it just goes to show that, as I've said, the beauty of Benguela combined with the excellence of Johan Fourie, I really do think the sky's the limit on where we can take this brand. Oh look, Gaylord has joined us. For me, just to finish things off, I'm a very, very optimistic person. And whilst for many the glass has always been half full, for me it has always been overflowing.